And good evening, good day, and welcome to another Planet Poetry 28, a share screen reading event, the only one of its kind, I think. This is a unique offering. We get to see, hear, and read the poem by the poet and enjoy the advantage that Zoom offers now that we all exist in these Hollywood squares, if some of you people remember that show. 20 poets will join me reading, taking 5-minute shots, as we call them. Lucio, please say a few words if you like, or just go into the share. And when done, we'll stop the share and enjoy some comments live or in the chat. And everybody join in for the comments, please. And then please tell us some of your upcoming events and put some of your contacts in the chat. The event is being recorded, as I said. If you don't want to be recorded, please tell me so, but I hope you'd want to. You never know, this generation of YouTube Zoom poets that we are, if we're looked at, this is like a poetry journal that comes on once a month and it's archived on YouTube, and maybe it'll be like Poetry Magazine out of Chicago. We'll be archived looking at the Zoom poet generation, and we were all there. I hope so. So I'll break the ice with two poems. I think we should all put ourselves on mute as we read, and then afterwards, by all means, come off mute. Or if it's just quiet, it's no problem to me, really. I'm Mark Fishbein, poet with guitar, though I won't be playing guitar tonight. I've lived most of my life in New York City. I've lived in Paris, living now in Washington, D.C., and soon moving to Chicago. I've been writing for poetry for over 50 years. I have 6 books available. I'll tell about my latest one shortly. The proud chancellor of the Poetry Academy of the Poetry Global Network, which we'll be talking about a little bit tonight, which will be a partner in this event also going forward. We're an organization of about 30 participants offering news, events, discussions, and workshops for poets all around the world, a central place for Zoom, YouTube generation of poets. So please subscribe if you can. I think you find great stuff there, and all the information we'll put in the chat. I'm also the host of 2 poetry workshops was live in the Washington, D.C. area, now of course on Zoom, and everybody's invited. They're wonderful poetry workshops if you enjoy workshopping your poems. And I have some spotlights coming up, and if you're not in my email list, love to have you join me as well. So I'll read 2 poems to start and break the ice. This one is one about I've been seeing lately all the yellow around in the seasonal changes, and it prompted me to write this poem about seasons in yellow. Spring arrives with fragrant bells of forsythia, tulips and daffodils stipple yellow on the ground. The crimson fades fanfare to a galaxy of green and chromatic spectacle of summer bloom. The harvest moon yellows the evening, tall grasses are embossed with... Sorry, shut that off now. The harvest moon yellows the evening, tall grasses are embossed with dandelions and baby henrys. Too soon kaleidoscopic October scatters leaves to jackknife dying, coating the wind with sigh. How indifferent the winter's white to the brown owl's wild, bejeweled eyes, where the yellow flames of seasons hide. Now to change the subject a bit, this is my new book. It's published by Atmosphere Press, 50 poems written over the past 4 years during the reign of terror that seems to be continuing. It's rants, rages, odes, prophecies, a large variety of poetic forms and devices, available now on Amazon and soon in Barnes & Nobles and distributed to bookstores through Ingram. Here's one from August 2019, 2 years ago, which feels pretty much like today. Cape May afternoon. There was a time, I remember, a resort town like this, in soft August breezes. There were few who were black or Asian. I was white and privileged too, but never thought of it as such. I was a boy, and my hair was blonde as straw. Was that when America was great? Today on the ferry, I saw a group from India. The women in bright silk saris made brighter by their pastel brown complexions, the men with Sikh beards and tailored tunics. They sat alone in excluded silence. They were passed by, my fellow citizens, in loose jeans, t-shirts, covering their round bellies, families and friends, sporting MAGA hats. Waiting was the village center, the marina, and the fanfare of souvenir shops, the smell of chocolate fudge seeming to come from the ocean. An orchestra played Leroy Anderson under the bandshell draped in bow-tie flags. The kids in the psychedelic game arcades, shouting with crashing cars and pop guns. It was the America we all expected, the architecture of coastal New England, a mix of Southern and Victorian facades, airplanes skywriting Hard Rock Cafe, cotton candy, family, tandem bicycle rides. And so many wore the red hat like a badge. All knew the meaning, the message of outrage they sent. Everything felt wrong, joyless, and sad. They say Trumpius speaks for them, the voice against the progress of greed, the social engineers, the atheists, populations of oily-haired immigrants who suffer with English, their children flooding schools with eager expectations, the victims of globalization, fake news, their neighborhoods open to all, the parade of faces thirst for sameness. Can we ever love each other again? Damn the past, the Civil War, slavery, racism from the Mayflower and conquistadors, the prejudice against my people and yours. We are all once from a land of sorrows. Our generation struggled for equalities, but we are here now in this summer waltz. What does history have to do with us? Can't we join as patriots and friends, proud that we are, as a nation, the ideal? We strolled past lawns with full hydrangeas, in lilacs, blues, pinks, and whites. Among us, too, so many colors and tongues. I am not young anymore, nor is my country, but I remember the welcoming smiles. In a day like today, before this reign of hate, the red hats speak of cold revenge, where sadness rules on streets of change. Thank you very much, and welcome all. Nice to see you. So that's from that book, which is available. I'll put just contact me, Mark at Poet with Guitar. You all know if you all know my email, and I'll hook you up if you'd like to see the book. And I appreciate that.
It was a
So that
very
moved it up.
eloquent way of not pulling punches. A very eloquent way of not pulling punches. I loved
Thank
it.
you very much. No, thank you. Well, our first poet is Paul Ettore, or Paul, aka Paul Conquesco. Paul, I
Yeah.
know. Before I introduce his bio, Paul is well known amongst the performing poet Zoom crowd. I mean, he's been at it for a while, and he's been on quite so many. So he's a familiar face to some of them, to some of us. Paul is a poet, a professor, a publisher, a performer, an activist from Newark, New Jersey. He teaches creative writing at his alma mater of Bloomfield College, where he is lead editor of the BC Underground, an annual student-run literary magazine. His poetry blends up pop culture with advocacy for various causes, from social justice to mental health, body image, and eating disorders, sexual assault, and other issues in need of advocacy. His first book of poems, Disappearing Boy, was published in March in 2020 by 3 Mile Harbor Press and is an active member of the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, his first poetic home in New York City. He's recently become an integral part of the faculty here at the Poetry Academy. I'm proud to introduce Paul Ettore.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother Nico giving me a big what up, what up. Hello, everybody. Planet Poetry. Feels good to be here. Thank you for that lovely introduction, Mark. Yeah, so this whole screen sharing thing, I think it's super dope, and I'm excited to share a piece of mine. I've never performed anywhere virtually. I performed at a few different places in person. So I'm interested to see how it is received, being seen while it's read. It feels kind of vulnerable to do that, but yeah, fuck it, let's go for it. So I do write. I'm a male who has lived through and survived an eating disorder, specifically bulimia. So this is a piece that I wrote called Bulimic's Digest. Trigger warning for, I guess, anything associated to that. Bulimic's Digest. Bulimia nervosa is 9 times more likely to occur in women than men. Fucking shocking, I know, because up to 1% of women suffer from bulner. So that means statistically an estimated 0.11% of men suffer. That's lottery odds. The term bulimia derives from the Greek boulimia, or ravenous hunger, a compound of bou, ox, and limos, hunger. So when I say I'm so famished, I could eat a cow, take it from me. No, I mean actually take it away from me. As in the pasture past the dairy barn, I'd kidnap and make steak tartare, painting walls pink with her paste-like viscosity. You know, the goopy shit they show in fast food exposed videos every flat earther posts on IG, whistleblowing Mickey D's, as if anyone thought it was meat, subgrade ZZZ, retweeting till it comatoses me, sheep. Snapple fact, 3.9% of my kind will die as a direct result, and only 6% ever obtain treatment, never me. Such double fact checking, yes, no, running with narcissists, sisters, scissoring, chickens doing splits, and sitting on this face, just a few of the perks of thin. Negatives, well, I guess the slow erosion of lower teeth, withered to nerve ending. Least you could suck a mean dick now easily. See how fucked we become, marred by infertile, like, dude, it's so cool, you know, how much you'll save on condoms and birth control. Plus, who wants baby wipes and diapers strewn about a cramped apartment? Do I? Don't. 1/3 will recover partially, and 10% never will, which sucks because they'd save so much on groceries if only they'd cease to be. And even so, it won't be long. We've all been told we won't see 33, those suffering, I mean, but suffering's such a dramatic term coined by those outside to exploit verbiage for us, like Survivor, Cut to Camo Clad, Beyonce and Destiny's Child, Market R, Thinspirational Story is a direct to Lifetime flick. As if anyone caught inside this beast hasn't chosen, like our throats are anything but willing in moment, self-imposed lonesome, each expulsion seen as opportunity to leak 2 or 3. Euphoria, not eulogy. Lack of dopamine comes to shove. You know, studies have shown a correlation between estrogen receptors and B word's birth, hyperandrogenism, low tryptophan levels, and thus no serotonin synthesis means higher urges to purge. Sounds like a shampoo commercial. Which only means we don't achieve sense of full, feel adrenaline, oxytocin, or satiation, but we feel pain in spades for sure. This disease occurs primarily in uber-developed countries, first world problems. Because where else could you afford to waste such perfectly good rations on an inanimate sumbitch who never gets full? It's not a gotta catch 'em all pursuit of perfectionist, but more or less an I fucking despise myself type of reflect and abhor this body breed of self-deprecate every second of every day. Yeah, that's it, more or less. It's most prevalent amongst affluent women from middle to upper class, you know, privileged folks, rich girl problems. Research also states those born after 69 are at higher risk. Gen X problems. Was it because the internet, important stressed on being thin as Keira Knightley or Jared Leto, that's led to this nightly letting reality check every 60 minutes one of us dies from this. And eating disorders have the highest mortality of any mental illness. Ain't that enough to make you sick? But despite all facts, figures, and estimates, I'm willing to bet their statistics are far, far below the actual. In fact, I know my generation's been told our entire lives that we're special, the one in whatever, some distinct fucking fingerprint pressed into back larynx, and you get applause, and you get applause, and you get applause, because they could never take our participation trophies away from us. But I don't think I was ever naive enough to believe that I could be the one in 1 in a million.
Yeah.
So, shall we start a poetry reading or something? Wow. Like, wow.
That's great stuff. Good work, Paul.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
like,
I never saw your work on the page, Paul, and it's amazing how to read it and to hear you say it. Because obviously, I don't think I could have possibly read it with the same animation that you did, of course. So it, I mean, it's a powerful poem, and you made it all the more powerful. I mean,
Thank you.
wow.
It
Yeah,
was pure flow, pure flow. I loved it. Pure flow.
that was intensive and informative and virtuotic, virtuost. You know what I'm trying to say.
Virtuosic, yeah.
Yeah, virtue, blah, blah, blah. Thank
so
you.
having
Well,
heard
Paul, tell it.
you,
Yeah, Paul,
You
tell
want
us
more? Get his book.
a little bit of tell us a little bit about some events you might have coming up, and put some stuff in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a show tomorrow on Instagram Live at noon called Breathe Poet. Myself and the Poet Con host on Instagram Live. So if any of y'all do have Instagram, please follow me at Paul Con Queso. And we'll be doing that show tomorrow. It's a therapeutic space for poets to come on and speak about how their writing helps them heal. And I also am going, if you're in the tri-state, on October 7th, that Thursday, I will be at Inspired Word NYC featuring in person reading at an event called New York City Voices. And I am the special guest from New Jersey because I live in New Jersey. So yeah, any of you tri-state folks, if you want to come through, you can also drop me a message and I'll give you the info. Thank you all for the space.
Thank you, Paul.
Appreciate it.
Oh. Next is Prosser Sterling. Prosser is I've known for some years. I've always been trying to ask him if he would sell me some of the great words and metaphors that he presents, but unfortunately I've not been successful. Prosser's abilities. Give me a second, Prosser. I'll introduce you here. Prosser's abilities. Alibis include corporate international relations, theater performance art, music, graphic arts, and discussing African art with the visitors to the Smithsonian. A native of Galveston, Texas, he lived in New Orleans, Paris, and Florence before making Washington, D.C. his home. He's been a longtime participant of my poetry groups and is a word painter that makes me very jealous. Take it away, Prosser.
Thank you, Mark, and hello, Planet 28. Thanks for having me again. Happy to share this with you, and what a great launch we've had so far. I've got three pieces. The first one's called Sky and Clef, a Nordic fable. The Nordics have a term for what we call sprites, and that term is noken, and so they were like water spirits. This is a poem about them. Sky and Clef. As day's final fringes dress windows with labored rays, sober veins assess the wind of its own rude news. Sky and Clef, who dwell among sanded stones on river edge and cray in bottom silt, sallies slowly from the valley's gray rift. They may look like whiffles of sunlight and sound like a bantering wind. In wrinkled tune their whines pine for rot as they gallow through your silver wood. Steps softly sigh their way to raise your skin, stake and hound you to your buttery ends, and tie your rosy ringlets into sailor's knots. Sky will leak through your cellar door to suck the stuff from lock-lid jars. Clef will steal your eyes if they're open, then bind your babies in spider silk to drink the forming dew. They will nibble the buttons from your nightclothes as you dream your arms are wooden with hands of rakes, shift all colors around the house, and billy butt you backwards if you've not left them a bowl of eggs by the hearth. They will rally the rust through every hinge, then leaf a smoky rime upon the panes as they depart, gray and weighty, sullen and slow, the tandem towing a hollowed night behind. The next one I call Painted Bride. Rounds of Valkyrian braid do not lounge lightly about her brow. Her eyes are alive in sub-turquoise tones with a look that could make the rain go away. She is tank top heavy, a shouldered bosom rivaling hills wide as heaven. Poor palms of disjointed lines point to dangers done in darkness as her torso harbors scars that belong to a bullfighter. Her spine is flexed in a cambering bow, where freckles are new constellations guiding lost mariners to the lee. Her waist is the tapering isthmus of the Americas. Broadening hips for a distaff brood lead down to the wicker digs where thighs meet, a season's timber of beams, grained to bend but unkneeling. In the lower works, toes align, straighter than a baker's row, and the brown bottoms of her heels glide swiftly as barracuda. She's done half of everything once, and a doubter of most things true, yet she's plain as bucket wash, lonesome as a domino, undue for any suit, and all night floating backwards with drifting leaves in her backyard pool.
Wow.
Now to finish, Frigidarium. I save my obsessions for the cold part of the house, the gentle sting of a shaken martini, its evaporate asking, what occasion you ring in this frigid empire of undusted angles, heavy porcelain, silk cushions mourned and muted in baleen blue that exhale lungfuls if you sit? Why do you come to this estate of doors, weathered tight to their jambs, browned water-stained walls, and a desperately overstretched rug where broken jokes and crumbled puns fell, where your uncle toe-tapped a tango, cotton soft, as the hi-fi played one summer? If you must know, this is where I come to savor flavored lines from the last dominion of Ragmore, its passages ribald and exact, to devour them like midnight chocolate, while outside the window's slatted blinds, winter sparrows rattle. This is my refuge to suck a cherry lozenge unbothered, try to say something sunny, and review mica samples in a ginger jar. Take roll for a company of antique dolls, their 49 eyes witness me off-gassing conceits. Things I cared not for now dwell my days. Chilled plots for 10-penny sins for which I will never confess remain secreted in my cold preserve, saving me from the heat of tomorrow. Thank y'all.
Sure. Let's all unmute and say hello to Prosser. That was amazing, man.
Good stuff, Prosser.
Great word work.
I mean, it's
Made it
just
Well done.
hypnotic, you know, your word use.
Mm.
Just, I could listen to that for hours, man.
Very elegant.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Prosser, you have anything you care to share with us? I know you're not that big on social media and stuff, but
Just to keep on keeping on. I retired 3 weeks ago. I just have more time to write now.
there you go. Well, I think your retirement's going to serve us all very well, man.
Thank you,
Beautiful
Mark.
stuff. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. A treat. Our next poet is Diane Ward. Diane, are you here?
Yes, I am.
There you
Hi,
are.
can you hear
Sorry,
me?
on the screen. Sure. Yes, I can. So Diane is a New Yorker of West Indian descent with the most diverse background I've seen. She's a modern dancer and choreographer experience. She developed and taught at International Film Forum for Children. She makes distinctive handmade prayer beads, developed a poetic form called daiku and to accompany her handmade aromatherapy jars in a cookbook. Her published works and reviews appear in the like of Haiku Masters Gallery, Love letters to Gia and the Bronx Council of the Arts Bronx Memoir Project. She remains a National Writers Union Grievance Contract Unit consultant and hosts the ekphrastic prose and poetry sessions conducted first Thursdays, produced by the Bronx Art and Fun Hub. Diane, I have your poems for you.
Okay.
Sure. Hold on, please.
All right. And if they can see the photo, this was taken by Benicia Poets, which I'm also a member. And this was a painting that was made by Joyce Byram. And I was asked to write, again, as ekphrastic poets, this is what we do. We take artwork and then we see how it emotes, how we feel with it. And I realized Frida also did a piece with a monkey and a cat. And of course, that has special significance. But this is what I wrote for the gallery showing that was held in April and May of this year in Benicia, Florida. Gata. Rage purrs upon my shoulder. Phoenix fated. This frame cradles my neck. Chimney darkened from your burning kisses, my Diego. My brows screen the sun, never dimming their clear sight of you as I blaze. You fear my flaming resolve. An ashen spirit rises, its storm igniting my circumstance to expression. My coal-lit eyes stoke a deep, knowing, unflinching stare, fueling lash-laden, dimension-seeking engines. Fighting tears, noon and night, ennobles my body's flight, daring you to leave my gaze. I screech, I scratch, I climb over you, mi amor. Okay. And this piece I call Hope. And this is a piece that was also done by the gallery, and it's called Delight by Pat Calabron. I call this Hope. Okay. I didn't know if you wanted them to see the picture as I read it, but that's all right. It's up to you. Heart shattered to glass and drained. Sails made of shards, my bruised heart drifts. Magenta my mind, blued and sobbing by your sharp, precise piercings. Can I still soften you? Can we round these edges and mosaic our hearts together? Summon our tiles and knit anew. All bruised pieces can fit anew. Resuscitate my heart. Seasons change around me. The turbulence lessens. Only leaves crisping now, not our acidic rhetoric. I remain a shining sail meandering as we mend. Accept me as I am now. Okay. And the last piece, thought I'd give you something a little fun, a little light. This was from a prompt from a writing group, and the leader of the group said, look, you have 10 minutes, take a fairy tale, any fairy tale, and I want you to put a little different spin on it. So in 10 minutes, this is what I wrote. It's called Red. Hope you enjoy it. Because I really don't feel like taking this darn basket through the woods. It's cold. The wind is cutting through my red bomber jacket, and these open-toe sandals were a mistake. What was I thinking? What the heck is in this basket anyway? Whole puts this much caviar, 2 jars of pearl onions, a wheel of cheese, crackers, anchovies, a bottle of Merlot, a jar of dill pickle spears, and a tin of mixed nuts in one basket. What do I look like? A weightlifter? Delivering this is gonna take me forever. I heard rumors. This is why I deal with those wolves in town now, especially the tall, toothful one, always grinning when I pass by. Yeah, I overheard him tell his pack, she's got some grandma. Wow. That calendar she did highlighting her different moods each month was something else. He told them, I'm still stuck in November. Why did I hook Grandma up to Zoom? Thank you.
That was this is gonna be some this is gonna be some night, I'll tell you. Wow, that's great. Thank you very much. I love reading and this poem, love the plastic poems.
Thank you. Thank you for
Wow,
having me here.
good stuff. Where can we follow you? Or you mentioned I mentioned some of the things here. When you have your next project is the Acrostic Prose and Poetry
Yes.
Session.
That's going to be on October 7th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we are featuring Kemlin, who is probably well known to many of you. She's a fantastic, glorious, glorious poet, singer, writer, everything. And she is going to be our guest, my guest, on the next Ephractic Prose and Poetry. Some of the people that you have here also attend the EPP, as we call it lovingly. And so I'm really happy to be here. So you can see me there. And also I perform most of the time Monday night, Nurican Cafe. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Diane. Thank you very much. No, next poet is another well-known face among the Zoom crowd and performing poet and page poet and amazing performer that's also part of the Poetry Academy and shares a bunch of different segments with me. Elemental. It's driven by passion that fuels his starship imagination. He roams the universe, healing in his poetry, courageous enough to confront his demons with words. Fueled by his desire to enlighten all who hear him, he speaks with an accent of change, unapologetically, deadly, revolutionary, a true student, a fan and consumer of all things creative. Elemental, great reader, and tell us about your book afterwards as well. Elemental.
To appreciate all of you for being here. To everyone who has came before me and everyone after, I truly appreciate your energy. Poetry is everywhere. Like the Chancellor said, I'm part of the Poetry Global Network, the Poetry Academy. So many things, so many incredible people, some folks in the room as well, along with the storm gods in the building. You know, the Academy is really going to do some incredible things. Elemental.com for everything. So I'm going to share a few pieces with you, 2 shorter pieces and 1 a little bit longer. This is Stream of Thought. Of course I'll jump in, let shenanigans begin, Dungeons and Dragons spit fire, the freshest, never transpire through wires, new semiconductors, sparkle on diamonds, on gold we luster, #1 hustlers of darkest storms that roll in and refuse to leave, we dig deep down where Zion sleeps. This next piece, the Avatar State. It takes a level of spiritual focus only known to few to breathe through soul's control state of being beyond focus into new space of seeing through actions where lines become signs of umbilical connection to destiny. Air. Reincarnation of saving grace with savagery laced in weather veins that bleed, tropical depressions, tornado, facial expressions, push wind speeds past critical levels, let last bender of air from every angle, transcender of timelines to learn every element for protection, water. Soft and solid, quiet riot of fluidity with Katara affinity, listening to sonar secrets of apex carnivore delicacies, tailfin assassins home and deepest unknown, typhoon swell, tidal waves crash into earth. Seeing vibrations without eyes, movements fused with granites turn heavy to medley of metamorphic disasters with dolomite drip, spit from lips that sip sulfur, diamond culture, cement flow through bones, cyclone, fire, fresh out the frying pan, Prince Zuko stance, feel heat and Iroh spiral flame, burn reminders, these scars, respect the heat, these scars, protect the heat, it scars, tears become embers of wildfire fantasies, blaze devil full metal toff, Elric posture, wrap titanium around dangling craniums, make mercury plaything with tungsten punctuation, sharpening iron on this road to Zion, eye of storm, heavyweight, arrows pointing to ensure the energy is not misplaced to become something much, much more when he enters the avatar state. I do truly appreciate you. This last piece, ode to the great musicians that inspired so many of us, including myself. This is Where's the Jazz? In decades of discord, where war sores roam streets in drunken stupors of back alley trash heaps, penthouse shadows cast in perfect direction of inner city blues and hues, third world children waving America's brutal scars of barbarism, working on the railroad all the livelong day to earn that Sunday dollar, piece of Americana, God-given rights stolen by the dawn's early light. Where is the jazz? Did we miss the roundabout at Congo Square, just off the bayou, pitching French quarters cross Lake Pontchartrain to rearrange language, call it Creole, powdered sugar shakes of culture on golden brown pockets of bliss, kiss with transition between FEMA and second line, feature on Fat Tuesday's jazz, ringing the Mingus bell on unjust music scales, down cracked streets on broken ears, turn to hearing the volume of Mardi Gras. How funny it seems to gnaw on raw dreams, Art Blakey whispering to drumsticks, so thelonious, a harmonious approach to revolution. When did Cab Calloway get tucked in silent corners of deaf ears that only hear strange fruit, or Mississippi, goddamn, not Count Basie arrangements as holiday love songs, Louis Armstrong sweet as Nina's attempts to be anything other than what they called controversial, as Yardbird and Ellington, Cannonball Adderley drastically took cues from kings named BB and Albert to listen when howling wolves gather to give matter of purpose to those lacking connection to more than parental advisory, explicit warning for art to spill in pristine listening spaces, intoxicating cocaine cowboys hungry for more than watered down versions of real deal, no back rooms, such a dizzy Gillespie when Sarah Vaughan from Jelly Roll to Nat King Cole, Buddy Bolden on rarest vinyl, locked in volts of revolt and closed throats, crushed windpipes under government issued marching orders, gave birth to Herbie and Quincy, took a coal train to Equinox, Miles Davis past a new kind of blues, sipping bitches brew, what a Fats Waller brew, as Ella blessed the moon with improv swoons that made the stars dance, a galaxy glide and slide in the harmony of understanding that music is the universal elixir, ultimate canvas for vivid pictures painted with pungent notes from people who became instruments. The universe played with masterful measure, found new levels of communication. Where is the jazz that inspired change and pain and passion and poetry, and that inspires poets and artists and drummers and writers and dreamers? The jazz that made music something beyond sound. Thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Oh, man.
Excellent.
Yeah, my ears are ringing in a good way.
I was only hoping you were going to mention the tune Compared to What, which I heard this morning. Les McCann's in that, but that's okay.
I'll make sure I put that in there somewhere.
You know the one I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Oh yeah. It's great, and it pertains so much to what's going on, man.
Wow.
Powerful stuff.
Indeed.
Powerful stuff. I
It's
love
also it's also a treat, Elemental. I enjoy listening to your stuff, just watching you perform it, and it's also just a joy to actually see it written too, as well, for a change. Really great. Thank you. You have any events coming up you want to share before we move on?
I mean, look, anywhere PGN is, I'll be there. There is Perfect Storm brewing. It is coming very soon, so keep that in the back of your minds. You will hear it, you will see it, you will feel it. The Poetry Academy will be launching soon. There are a few folks who are involved with us in our first workshop. We do truly appreciate you. Please keep plugging into the Poetry Academy and PGN.
Where are you based?
I'm on the West Coast.
Excellent stuff, man. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Truly appreciate you.
Yeah, the Poetry Global Network, which will be part of this show, of this event next time we do it, is a global, organization just to get all of us poets in community and all the different types of poetry that we share, and try to find events that are suited to us. And I think it's a really good project for sure. I'm very involved with it. Well, our next poet is Max Oakes. Max is a longtime friend. He's a poet who worked in the country's anti-poverty agency from Annapolis in local conflict and resolution center. Like his famous cousin, songwriter Phil Oakes, Max has maintained a faith in what organizers can do for just causes. His poetry and music can be found on Grace Cavaleri's The Poet and the Poem, Library of Congress website. He's also a primitive American musician, a guitarist and singer. There's about 4 or 5 CDs I have of his. They're just wonderful stuff. He's learned his licks from some blues greats like Mississippi John Hurt, who stayed with him when he was in New York. Tompkins Square Records called him obscure giant an obscure giant of acoustic guitar. He lives with his wife Suzanne in picturesque Severn River, just north of Annapolis in Maryland, and also a great poet. Max?
Thank you. I love that jazz poem. And thank you, Mark, for doing all the work to set this up. You're very wonderful and diligent to give us this opportunity and allow us to be part of this community here. So can everyone see that?
Yes.
An Apple Place in Annapolis. Before our daughter was born, we used to run an Apple Place in Annapolis. Hard work, but fun, coaxing an old F600 up where Mr. John Meyer kept wine saps in Westminster caves, as did his father years prior. Stamens, Yorks, Johnny's, Golds. I ate 13 apples a day and never caught colds. Mostly good ones, though, only with rotten spots. Chomped the sweet part down, chucked the core in the woods. Always 13 yellow jackets circling my hand when we put sample cups of cider on the stand. But we rarely got stung, just blew the bees away. Made them think we were wind gods, I like to say. Oh, our stand was pretty in the splendor of fall. You had a keen sense of space, an artist after all, who knew just where to place the gourds, mums, dried blue Indian corn, red and green palms. Don't forget giant squash and pecks of sweet potatoes and that cornucopious bounty of late cherry tomatoes. Rising at 6, we both worked until 7 p.m., carrying pumpkins carefully so not to break the stem. Payday depended on the weather and on the luck. If it rained, we'd sit in the cab of our flatbed truck, not dreaming we'd throw away a treasure, this heaven on earth, warming our hands on cocoa from the 7-Eleven mixed with a little coffee. Or had you forgotten? All we had to worry about was vegetables going rotten. All right.
Yeah.
And this one's called Chi. And this is from a book called Just Cause, CAWS, which is available on Amazon if anybody is interested. I'm still trying to learn Tai Chi, Yang 24 style. So things I say about the Chinese term Qi are bound to be bullshit. Who cares if Qi makes me think of Michel Zeltzman, my red-haired friend from France, who in 1962 introduced me to the Yoga Society of New York. He was the first person I ever saw practice Tai Chi. Arms aslant, reaching wide feather-like fingers, white crane spreads his wings. White crane spreads his wings. Or shyly graceful, holding an apple. Part the wild horse's mane. His girlfriend, Noel, and his spiritual politics both appealed to my Jewish atheist aesthetic. We loved art on earth as it is in heaven. Our idea of a good time was to watch Marx Brothers double features, then like genteel Margaret Dumont thanking Chico, thank you. And Michel goes like Groucho, no, thank you. We journeyed like Louis Celine to the end of the night. Later, Michel married Noel and moved to Baltimore to become a nurse at Hopkins. So I visited, hoping to see him do Tai Chi. Michel bemoaned, no, wistfully lamented. I just can't find the chi anymore, he said, grimacing. I never have. At least he knew, like Socrates, that he didn't know, didn't have that chi consciousness, that energy, not only for existence, but also for a dancing God who visits your body, whether you sit still with the Buddhists or move in meditation with Tai Chi, who has that spirit. Now I sit and pay attention to my breath, listen to the ringing of a big round bowl, a large bell which sounds a lotus of notes when I strike it. Form and space are one, and the virtue of the bowl is emptiness. I, with my needy human body, wish my poor brain would learn the whole yang. A feeling of never enough is not chi, and being in love is not bullshit. Finally, I never did agree with Michel that he had no chi. Thank you.
Well, hearing from Max, that's Max Oakes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Max.
you, guys. We're going like this.
Nothing
Hey,
else
Max,
to say.
Oh boy, that makes me feel good.
Hey, Max, you know what strikes me is that so far in this reading, we've seen just about all corners of the United States.
It's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
And
soon
we're
going
gonna
over,
go.
we're soon going over the pond. But Max, is there anything you want to add? We can reach you or
MaxOakes@gmail.com
there you
and
go.
Just Cause at Amazon. I'm working on my next book, which is called Earflings.
I look forward to getting a copy of it, Max. Thanks a lot. And now we are actually going to go across the ocean to Leslie Constable, who's been kind enough to stay up at this late hour there in England. She's a U.S. UK citizen who lives in the UK, Mexico, and in Santa Fe, New Mexico. A lifelong rock and roll hippie chick. Got it. An adventurer, road tripper, activist, modern dancer, poet, painter. She's worked as a journalist, an art critic, university art gallery curator, and studio arts, and an art history instructor, a veteran of open mic performance poet in Mexico. Currently, she reads 6 to 8 times a week at internationally open mic Zoom events. She is also a widely exhibited painter in the US and Mexico and sells her prints at artisan craft markets in Mexico. Her poems have been published in the US and in England, journals, anthologies since 1999, with a 2015 collection available on Amazon. So wonderful to introduce you, Leslie.
Hello, everyone, and thanks so much, Mark, for doing this and putting this on. It's you do amazing things. I want to be more involved, so thank you.
Thank you.
These poems, I tend to write poems almost as soon as I wake up, and these poems, I think I'm asking a lot of questions, so. Yeah, so I think my poetry helps to answer some of the questions I have about, existence, things like that, being alive. And recently, a lot of my poems have something to do with water. So I'm going to read 3, 2 about water and 1 about earth. So the first one's called These Islands. If you reconstruct the land, you have something in mind, but can you walk on it, extending matter as the long peninsula that from your matter to matter you seduce to be there? And will you wave to me far out on the tip, the point of existence, the white handkerchief flailing in whatever breeze you conjure? Will I wave back, or eyes downcast in that which is my world, simply ponder that which is inside and think briefly of all the times we shared when we did know each other, when we did laugh so hard together that we threw our heads back and released into the air this beauty of sound, our laughing, rising up and rising up, working its way up from the toes, or would it be from further down below the line of walking? And what now, you on your island, now alone, from the moment when, for you, time stopped, and you sitting there knitting and knitting together yourself back into form to keep the soul there with you, warm and steady, with you intact. And you don't mention your heart, but I know it, and the lost, those who won't come back. You stretch yourself to me, and I reach towards you with one hand and with the other out to sea. It is the moment we pause and listen to ourselves, knowing for that moment only something. And for you, I will extend the time, keep the time, beat the time, as the pulse of me, inner to this, the rhythm of ours and us we share, knowing ourselves and in another form, forgiveness. And allow the tired self to rest, the brief pause of surrender before stretching then, stretching with and through ourselves is the moment we can extend, take form, take what we are inside and make ourselves as islands for us to walk from point to point to point across the reaches of the sea. The next one's called The Swimmer. We forget it all which is learned to begin again. The forgetting and the not remembering the exact shape and form of what it was, but added to that, the more, as deep as tree roots, as deep as me having suddenly jumped into a body of water, strange to me, and me cautious, and throwing away the fear of an earlier form of me, not sure of letting go, the water now with my head above, safe and breathing, in love with the air that is life, filling my lungs, kissing the blessing that is the sky. Nothing a threat now, no fear, for I am swimming, released into the element. And what then? Submerged now, again to begin the toil of swimming to a shore I'm not sure we'll be there. Submit to the water, whether a dark blue or the turquoise of the southern islands, an embryo again, or another form yet unknown to us, these land animals which we are. What if to float, releasing up to the air, to breathe, to look, to see if there is land, which is in reach, and reach, and reach for it awkwardly, or with grace, maybe arriving to crawl on eager knees and make my way as I need and perhaps want now on dry land, to be on dry land, and not permeated with that which was past and that which we will come again to be, the wet of the underworld, the wet of the underground, the underwater from which we come. And then finally, this one it's called Seeded Earth. I seeded earth and skipped the change which would happen, inevitable, to have the seed grow without me seeing it, watching each moment the steps of new life. I seeded earth with my blood and heartache and wept for the love of it, the change I do not understand, for it is not mine to know. I know that the birds will fly above the seed as it grows into what it will, that above the birds circling this carousel of life, then the clouds float slow as they will, and above them the sun at times visible this time of year, the unrelenting gray, only a soft blanket of thought on which to ruminate and plant its seed in me. And that's it for me tonight. Thanks, everyone.
Wow, that was
Oh.
awesome. That
Oh,
was great.
Great
That was
reading.
really cool.
Wow,
Thank you.
Leslie, thank you so much for staying through the night to share that with us.
What
you.
time is it there?
It is now, let's see, 3:02 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for staying up.
You bet. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Well, you certainly have put some of your links into the chat so some people can follow you. I'm sure we're going to want to. And
Okay,
thank you again, Leslie, and we'll hope to see you again at a better time next time. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Next on the list is Jeff Smallwood, who I'm sure will come up with something interesting, as Jeff always does. He's a master of craft in these new technologies, and I look forward to Jeff's performances a lot. He's a longtime native of Maryland and has resided near Chesapeake Bay for the last 25 years. He's a software engineer by day and a photographer, poet, gardener by night and weekends. He participates in poetry events around DC and Annapolis, and his photography and poetry was most recently included in the book Pax, an anthology of Southern Maryland poetry. Jeff?
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate the introduction. I'm going to share two. So let's do our share. The first one is called Repertoire. Everyone should have a missing sock poem. Everyone should have an old and a new math poem. Everyone should have a poem about another poem. Everyone should have a to be continued poem. Everyone should have a first love poem and put it on the ground and pee on it. Then dry it in the sun, burn it, put the ashes in a safety deposit box, throw away the key, and never speak of it again to anyone. Everyone should have a skeleton key poem. Everyone should have an abandoned safety deposit box poem. Everyone should have a sneakers tied at the shoelaces and draped over the telephone wires poem. Everyone should have a Rube Goldberg poem. Everyone should have an I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids poem. No one should ever have a Scrappy Doo poem, nor a gazpacho poem, nor a urinal cake poem, unless it's a urinal cake that's within 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Everyone should have a buttered popcorn poem. Everyone should have an can't believe it's not buttered popcorn poem. Everyone should have a brandy scented scratch and sniff Band-Aid poem. And everyone should have a sex toy poem. This one is mine. Thanks. And then this one pairs well with it. Ode to Urinal Cake. Your kin all go to weddings with gifts practical and personal. Others go to birthdays sporting candles, hair that's burnable. You rarely get an invite. Your attendance might be germinal, but who can really blame them? Because you make your home in urinals. Your siblings hold so many names: marbled, sponge, and pound, cheese and fruit, hot and pan, short and sheet and round, beef and bunt, layered, angel, even upside down. Your cousins' flavors run the gamut: lemon, carrot, coffee, German chocolate or vanilla, sometimes topped with toffee, coconut and black forest, red velvet, spiced and butter. But when it comes to serving you, a slice would make most shudder. You, my friend, are none of them. Your purpose is to freshen. Most ladies never see your face. You savor the discretion, but we men look into your eyes with our junk in possession. So I stand before you now, but late last night I was awakened to a neighbor knocking on my door. He was belly aching that a burglar stole his television last night in a break-in and sold it to a shady guy who once lived down in Macon. That guy has a sister on occasion he will take in when she visits him from New York with a friend who is Jamaican. That friend swears on her last trip to LA that she was shaken when she bumped into the actor from Footloose. If not mistaken, you're now a urinal cake with 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. Thanks.
It's amazing, man. It's very amazing.
Totally clever.
I laughed
you.
out loud. I laughed
Yeah.
out loud.
Very
Good
entertaining.
thing I was muted.
Very witty. Great stuff.
Brilliantly done, fun.
Absolutely.
You've
Thank you,
set
Jeff.
yourself up now for all the other poems that are supposed to be written about now. We'll be waiting.
What a great
Got a
way
backlog.
to what a great way to present a poem. Very unique and very entertaining. Thank you
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody.
for sharing that. Yeah. So our next poet is a new poet, which I just introduced you, Nico Kim, a diploma mill graduate in English. The book published independently as a poet who writes about metaphysical philosophy using language ranging from lowbrow idiocy to foreign language fluency. Using linguistic and psychoanalytic approaches to his poetry, he currently lives in Wonder Lake, Illinois. And Nico, I'll share for you, I think.
No, I can share screen.
Okay, sure. If I have it, if you want it, okay. You want me to take it off?
No, I definitely have edited it, so I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, there's something. Your mic is kind of funky. Yeah. Hello. Nico, you there?
Again. Yeah, let's try this again. For some reason.
Yeah. Also, we also can't catch your voice.
Cool.
Yeah, break it up.
Yeah, your voice is breaking up, Nico. I'm sorry.
Oh no. All right, let's stop sharing, then you can share. Let's give that a try.
No,
Is this
yeah,
better?
that's really your microphone issue, but let's see if that's.
Is this better?
We can fix that. Go ahead, try to read.
Is this better?
No, it's like a very
Alright.
it's like your whole thing. It's like it's grumbling. I've not quite heard that one before. Not sure how to correct it, but we're not going to be able to hear you, unfortunately. Let me stop the share. Let's see if we can try it again in the future. See if you can maybe close down your computer and see if you can get it to work a little bit better. Any other suggestions for Kim?
Switch mic if you can.
Yeah, switch mic, I guess. Yeah. So he's going to come back in the meantime. So Kim, I'm going to pass. I'll try to cut in a couple of minutes. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Lacan. Lacan, are you here?
I just made it back, but all right.
Oh wow, that's much different. Yeah, is that you, Nico?
Yeah, I was on my laptop, so there's
Okay,
something on
fine.
my laptop.
We hear you loud and clear. You want to share or you want me to share?
I would like to share, please.
Okay,
Reason I'm
take it
here.
away.
If you can share your screen because I'm unable to share mine.
I got it.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
No problem.
So I do apologize, but I did change the name of the poem. Red herrings and ad hominems, a node to American English. I told you by the end of the night, I'd give you a tip. The Freudian slip that would open the door, my tongue could slip in and slip on like some prose astute in the night. I raised my two lips, pursing like a tulip pursuing its new lit flame. Even if it was a loose and shitty fit, I let loose a witty quit. I thought it would be longer. What a shame. The poor joke lingered. My funny bone jingled, fried like bojangles, my sweet teeth, silver tongue, and mind in the gutter, feeling like it's on the tip of an iceberg, was enticed to go deeper. Weaker ensembles of entendres were mentally assembled. Every single symbol and thimble I could thumb through within and search under was a truism or new ism that could perch under the branch of the umbrella tree of creativity amongst the spiky undergrowth that exists in spite its lack of light. Every body's burdened by being born in the dead of birds. Its denizens always lay in burning beds. So it is with fire rhetoric that I'll neither regret or rickshaw my own burdens that I beast through, because if I may go the bolder and say this silly old boulder rested on my shoulders has been the molder of my coping character throughout my pasty past. Not some existential torture, but rather essential portraiture. A meme made to outlast. But I digress to egress away from the rejected reader's digested submitted section that my scrutinizing eye ingested as I ingested with egregious aggression the poetry section of each empty magazine lacking the firepower of 30 rounds by the cannons of cannon. Each bulleted stanza, blanks fired. Inspired by rule number 2, I'll always double tap. Not strapped with nines, but trapped by lines, and these written by desperate despots positing poetry to be portrayed structureless as the structure. Deconstructing composition, such as postmodern interpretation. Interpret nation ascending to independence on dependence toward descendants torn away from their history and heritage. Here it is today in 2021, and as another day passes where an orange thinks it's the sun, like the son of man reborn again to wipe away your grievances. But how can one wipe with greasy hands made never to wipe his own ass crack? Shrek's ass cracks a laugh half near fallen, as it is a sucker for gold miser dragons. Fafnir acts queer, but he doesn't want donkey inside him. Incite him, rile him up, get hyphy. Stop and smell the gasoline or eat from silly scribins found by silly high bums scrounging for his crumb of psilocybin. It's a mind bend a dumb mime should strain to mimic. There are speed limits for a purpose, and Bacchus can give purpose and meaning because grape jam is a glass always half full, so it is always worth the trip to find the meaning in the null, but it's a hole to peek through, to pique your interest. To get lost and listless in such a path is hardly worth the effort. The nihilist has reached transcendence at its surface. The Nile in every aquatic body is vast, but finite. By night, we can see more vast emptiness, infinite. It's always intriguing when a nihilist finds meaning in nothingness. Trusting mistranslated concepts, I was like, whoa, then what does it mean if Odin makes my week Germanic, Caesar makes my months Latin, and years are also romantic, and the way we track it all is in Arabic? Led by some dogmatic theatrics, my reaction was to light a J and say, I learned this and make myself a prophet. However, I haven't seemed to make much sense or change in most places I've called home or been. But what else could this be? I was raised American.
Wow, a lot of really good meter internal rhymes and all that. Really kept us engaged in the poem. Thank you, Kim. Would you care to tell us a little about yourself and where we can follow you?
Sure. I mean, like I said, I have a book that I independently published, but it's not very good. It's called Free Verse of My High School Experience. I published it because they were just the poems I wrote in high school and I wanted it published. I don't really have much going on. I'm just trying to put my foot or get my foot in the door, pretty much.
Where are you based? Where are you based,
young man?
Where are you?
I'm currently in Wonder Lake, Illinois. I'm trying to set up some kind of open mic in Woodstock, which is where the movie Groundhog's Day was filmed. So there's like a big like art scene out in Woodstock. So I'm trying to figure out what the poetry scene is there. And then there's McHenry Community College. They have that writing program. Trying to see if they're doing anything. So just seeing what's going on.
Pure
Super,
flow,
thank
man.
you.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
enjoyed it very much. My next poet is from Manila, and I think most of us know Lacan. If you don't know Lacan, he's somewhat of a little bit of a legend in the Zoom world here. Lacan is the CEO of the Poetry Academy. It's his brainstorm, and he's spearheading it, and has been involved in so many different events, so many different books. I just can't list them all. But I'm very grateful I was able to meet Lacan early on in Zoom, and he's kind of helped me get into this a lot and been a big influence in my life. Lacan, great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Magandang umaga. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lacan. I'm a page performance, slam, street, and now online poet. I'm based from the Philippines, and I am from the Poetry Global Network. So it's great. It's weird to perform during the day, but it's great. I love performing for Planet Poetry and for DC Poetry Collective, which Mark heads. Thank you to all of the poets who had shared and all the poets who will still share. Thank you so much. So I will now screen share. I have two pieces for today. This one is called Too Big. Content warning, violence, and also parental abuse. Choking begins in the cheek, gasping shock, absent and plastic bottles stuck on my face for a second, skin red as shame, colored in a blame game. It's my fault. It's my fingers, too slow to pass justice over the table to him. I deserve it, says the sting, holding me like a flask, a quarter empty like time, 7:45 a.m. Eternity seems closer than his yell, Tangina! I think he's cursing my mama, birthing a tardy Jeffy in a sun. More proof? I am too stunned to escape his scrape, smacking with a wave of the jug. Harm is anchored, left swinging a deluge. I can't evade fatherhood. It's dropped swiftly, thirsty to anchor discipline on me. I sat there like a vessel, parched of reprieve, gaped with tears that can flood the water in that pitcher, but fears can douse the banter in my head. Down, sorry, is a tool to stop the chances of getting hit more. It happens often. Gulp a glass full, I tell myself. It'll fool the bruise. I wish it could drown me, take me away from him. But how? Even the water is afraid of him. It flows from mouth to innocence, throat to obedience, the cycle of hitting, pouring, drinking, again, lying, again. Thank you. Maraming salamat. For my second piece, trigger warning, content warning, rape. The title is labeled. Waking up would never be the same. Being drugged never felt this hollow. My disdied body stitched to another I just met a few hours ago. Numbed was something I felt. I couldn't see much. But forgetfulness remembers how he unbuttoned my breath with his fist, clenched, flicking the threads of how to be dishumaned. I did mumble if I could keep even the holes that made me breathe. I couldn't. He even unzipped the broken parts that made me less humane. What is less than that? Pretending doesn't work. I can't trick my senses tonight. I wanted to lie. Being undressed can liberate my skin from his whiskey breath. I knew I was drunk. Not enough to blank a memory of how the moon is a coward. Stars are traitors. Really, I wanted help. The sky hid them like an accomplice. Time was an ally, a bystander that stripped longer than it should, coming itself drenched like his shirt striped beside my cheek that forgot how my mother kisses it. Still, from my weak eyes, ironed to a pillow, as I was in my pillow. It knew exactly how to blink away the whole parts of me. They're gone. I'd never see them again. He knew how to pin me lower than the bed. I felt that. As hunger, releasing knuckle on knuckle, lips on lobe, laughter on prayer, over and over and over again. I thought it was over. Again. Another. There are others. 4 a.m. was my redemption. Exhaustion. I wore it like a half-sleeve savior. I'm a believer. God knows patience. Being more than naked after death wasn't enough. My folded body, limboed in sheets till morning, they clothed me. How they ripped me unaware. Consent isn't a brand. They branded me, sliding me into a tailored fit and sob, sewn with a marked fabric, tainted silver, without lines on it. It blends rape. They wrapped it without names and left me on a dawn sidewalk. Some say it looks good on me. I'm still wearing it 4 years after. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat.
Wow. Wow. It's fantastic. Wow.
Gotta catch my breath. That was very moving, Lacan, as you can well imagine.
Painfully
Wow.
powerful poetry.
No.
Yeah, I don't have words, and that's not to be taken the wrong way. I just don't have words. That you so your images were so clear and essentially pulled no punches at all. Excuse me for phrasing it that way, but I mean it was just right there, laying it out, and I just don't have words.
Whenever I hear you read Lacan, I think of the words of Taylor Mali when he said, "It's not enough to question authority; you have to speak with it too." And
Yeah.
like that is like the epitome of what you do, Lacan, because you question authority at the same time speaking with it directly to it, and speaking to all of us who have experienced similar situations. Like you are a true voice. Thank you, Lacan.
Yeah.
I guess you want
Great.
to just add a couple of things I mean, you're such a busy guy, but if you want to add a couple of fast things and put some stuff in the chat, Lacan, please do.
Yeah, but before I do, I'd like to thank everyone. Those 2 poems are based on true stories of my life. Um, the first one was the violence I experienced with my father um, over breakfasts, and the second one is a memory of June 10, 2017, when I was gang raped by 4 men. Thank you very much, everyone. Maraming salamat.
Oh, wow. Well, David Lee Serrois, de la prochaine. I just met David a couple of weeks ago, and happy to have him now part of the Poetry Global Network as well. And David seems to me a kindred spirit. We're both Francophiles and other things. He's a Canadian American poet who's been published 111 times in 13 countries, including works of translation. His works has been translated in 9 languages. A Parisian for 7 years, he now hosts his native New Brunswick, Canada, global open mic called Spoken Word Paris, which I was at today. Is a great event. He's a singer-songwriter, a radio DJ, a film TJ theater actor, and is currently submitting 5 finished manuscripts for publication and writing, with 3 more to come. David.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to share my screen. I was very honored to, I'm published now all over India and Bangladesh. And this is, of course, from the Bombay Review. Still, a meditation on, I guess I can't make it that big. Okay. Still, a meditation on meditation. The dead can do it. From them, I learned to be still and quiet. Still, my thoughts are loud. Still, I murmur in images. Still, there are minuscule movements I can't control when I sit still. Gentle tremble of hands, eyes, lips, and the mind's blizzard of pointed letters. In a not quite forgotten full lotus pose ritual, I begin to fill my body with an expanding soul, steeped in the spirit of the whole universe's blue lotus. One turning. Night unfolds the contours of her charcoal velvet blanket, and I sense my red magnetic spirit drawn before you, drawn towards you more than beforehand. Another movement I cannot control. My emptied hands reach for the circle of light you wear around your dancer's figure across the border river. Echoes of your evening teachings, lightning on my inner night's horizon. Electric charges surge through your form, flicker in your liberated laughter and gentle maple sugar tone, to flash truth before my heart's eye. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is with you still.
Yeah.
Mhm. These are actual lines from dreams. I now have a manuscript of 30 pages of them. And first is from age 6. Your life is just one dream I am having. I've dreamt many lives before you. You have to give up one of your senses. Which one do you choose to lose? Come to poetry, come to me. Go to music, go to me. This is the year of the key. When all the inner obstacles fall away, you naturally enjoy the highest state. Being so good, being so good, being so good. I would pick up 2 things off this desk: eternity and your present time with her. There is a way out of this dream, and for you, it is through love. Spaces are known by what they hold. The body of light. This is the body of light. Do you mind living in a haunted house? Just be aware. I'm shaking a little bit here. Just be aware. She's everywhere. It is the third road we must take in the end, the path within. How do you wish to wear the work you bear? Strum the lines on the calendar. May wisdom walk at your side and speak for you when you stray. How many stories are hidden at the bottom of every pocket? in this street, to love, to be free, to see. Turn the key of pure awareness in a keyhole the size of your own body. Hold your mind, hold your light. His coming too has come into sight. Why are you still barking into a well? Careful. Everything here is on a timer. We're turning into a tree. See what you can do. Silent. People dream, says the dust. Does it have to be hard to design words? If you are not in the sequence of the heart, what next? We pursue and pursue the truth until we need rest. We finally see we are pursuing ourselves, then the rest. Are you awake enough to see from the eye of the heart? Thanks.
Those were all just when you keep like a pad of paper by your bedside.
I do, and I try to be faithful of writing them all down.
Yeah,
Hey, David.
I took a lecture course once with Annie Finch, a great poet, and that was one of her techniques. And it was
Wow.
a good one to use, yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was great. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about your events and before we move on? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. If you Google David Leo Serwa, for one thing, you'll get my Facebook and Instagram, as well as pages of publications and my music. And I host a Spoken World online every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. in Paris. It's the Zoom continuation of Spoken Word Paris. So anyhow, Spoken World online. You can look for that for David Leo Serwa. Thanks so much for listening.
Sure. Thank you, David. Next is my companion, Christopher T. George, a somewhat known face also from the Zoom scene, and the wonderful reading voice that we all love. Christopher was born in Liverpool, England in 1948. Just a little bit older than me, not much. He immigrated to the U.S. in 1955 and returned home to experience the swinging 60s and re-immigrated to the U.S. in 68 and studied poetry with sister Maura Eschner and Elliot Coleman. His poetry has been published in journals worldwide. He lives with his wife Donna in Newark, Delaware, and as a man who gives many lectures on many different subjects, from Edgar Allan Poe to Jack the Ripper. A most interesting Christopher George.
All right, here we go. Going to read this poem about West Virginia. Barbaric Europe for the West Virginia mountains. And I'm going to begin with this quote from Donovan's song from the 1960s. First there is a mountain, then there is no mountain. We Americans worship mountains, the rise and fall of them, the unruliness of them, their rushing streams, their shushing boughs, their rippling vistas, range upon range of them, marching into the distance, forever and ever, swathed in mist and bathed in yet golden sunshine, clothed in green of spring and summer, the fire of fall, forever. O Shenandoah, how we long to see thee. And what I assume, you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me, as long as good belongs to you. No, the coal companies say. No, as long as they promise us clean coal, backed by investment from China, Russia, Arabia, dirty money to buy the Uber machines and mighty dynamite, to clear and decimate the mountains as divisions of bulldozers invade each of the peaks, plough their way down to the valleys, clear-cutting forests, pushing hardwoods into the stream beds, the dynamite yards, blowing up tree stumps, rock walls, cliffs to reach the coal, clean coal. Promises were made that the coal company's interests are our interests. The red, white, and blue, the meaning of our nation, everything that is true. Promises made by clean coal. Promises were made that this land would be our land forever, to protect man's right to exult in the presence of wildness, to experience the serenity of quiet forests, the renewing strength of nature unimpaired. First, there was a mountain. Absences. Before the war, I sang in the choir. My tongue traces the gap where my back molars stood. I voiced R in exercises before the mirror, like so. I put my tongue on the roof of my mouth and sang R. Fog roils where our village stood. An old man tills the dark earth, readies the soil for beans and potatoes, explains how the bones of the dead will help them grow. Perhaps he's just a trickster, a joker, a phantom of light. Red poppies spring up in the fallow fields overnight, feeding on the blood and hair of the dead. I remember old Monsieur Dupont, how he sang bass. Oh, such a beautiful voice, a round note in a tunnel. Always the spittle at the corner of his mouth, spoiling the picture, but how his bass complemented our sopranos. The brick wall where they shot him, pitted with bullet holes, red rosettes, prizes for our singing, with each tooth lost, each scar, the voice changes, the breath stolen. Fog roils, now where the chapel stood, no bell tolls. Jackie. I want them to see what they have done to Jack. So she wore her blood-stained pink Chanel suit all the rest of the day. She cradled his bloodied head in the helter-skelter ride to Parkland, Jack's glorious brow, storied crown of a king. She knows Camelot is no more, watches LBJ, uncouth Texan, sees power. Jack's corpse is covered by a white sheet, a naked foot exposed. She feels blood drain from her face, aware she is being watched. Everyone is silent. Everything is different. She takes his foot in her hand, kisses it gently, then lifts the sheet to expose his face and shoulders. Recalls, as a child no older than John, falling on the path, and how the nurse always kissed her better. She returns to kiss Jack's foot once more, and through the sheet, his leg, waist, chest, finally his lips. Now he is perfect again. And I'll finish with this one. It's about my mother. She would have been 101 years old yesterday. Mersey, Mersey me. You have asked that I cast your ashes in the river Mersey, the muddy Mersey. I see broil behind as you stand windblown on the Pierhead landing stage, Seacombe Ferry surging to nudge the giant tires with a rubbery kiss as sailors tie the ferry up. The the muddy Mersey that flowed down the bottom of our road at Otterspool Prom, expanse of sun-glistening, gooey flats at low tide, decorated with a ditched tram, a kiddie's bike, scene that I painted in the 60s, that hung in our living room, I gave to grass-high friends. Mersey, Mersey me, I think of you as I attend a Ripper event in a big white marquee beside the Liverpool Cricket Club, rain clouds sweeping in from the distant Welsh hills over the Mersey's white-capped waves, past the benign cream stucco walls of Battle Creek House, where lived James Maybrick, who may have been the Ripper. Mersey, Mersey me, I think of you as I scatter your ashes. Thank you, everyone.
What a tender poem that last one was. Christopher George, thank you for sharing your beautiful reading voice and your poems.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. I used to love Donovan. I hope he's not lost to the next. I hope he's not lost to the future generations.
I think he's still with us.
He's still with us.
Although up there, maybe about 80 or something like that.
Chris, you want to add any last minute about any events you might have coming up or lectures?
Yeah, I have 2 talks coming up next week on Edgar Allan Poe. I'll put that in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And thank you, Chris. And now we'll move all the way to India, to my friend Unmesh who stuck with us.
Yeah.
The first time I heard Unmesh read, I got goose pimples. I mean, goosebumps. And he continues to do that by his very unique and wonderful type of read, which you'll experience shortly. He lives in India, has inspired everyone who hears him. He's an engineer by trade, a visionary poet. His book, Light Shadow Life, The Missing Verse of the Soul, is a bestseller among the Zoom poetry crowd. He has a weekly open mic event, which introduced me to many poets from India, writing and singing in Hindi and in English. For those who have not heard him, we're in for a treat. Unmesh. Are you on mute? Yes, you are. You're on mute, Unmesh. Begin again. I'm sorry. Yeah, Unmesh, you're still on mute, I think.
Hopefully, am I audible and visible now? Sorry for that.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yes, start over, sure, of course.
Okay. Hopefully, you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we are.
Excellent, excellent. So today I'm going to do some experiment. It's not an experiment, but this is a poem which I wrote in my mother tongue, that is Marathi, Marathi, and this is the language which is spoken in my state, Maharashtra. So let's go. उगीच उडणाऱ्या या पाखराला कुठलेच नाव नाही. बेधुंद भिरविरणाऱ्या या पाखराला कुठलेच गाव नाही. This flying bird without reason has no name, fluttering widely, no home, no fame. घोंगावणारा वारा हा गुलाम दिशेचा, बेफाम दिशाहीन या पाखराला मात्र गुलामीची दिशाही मान्य नाही. Roaring wind is the slave of direction. However, this slavery of direction is unacceptable to this rudderless, directionless bird. या पाखराची उड्डाण उत्तुंग नाही, नशिल्या त्याच्या हृदयाला शिखराची मात्र भीती नाही. पत्ता त्याचा हरवला, हरवलेल्या या पाखराला गमवायची भीतीच नाही. Flight of this bird is not great. Intoxicated, drunk in his heart, but not afraid of limitless peaks. He lost his address, off track, astray, but forfeiting the fear of losing, forfeiting the fear of losing. So that was the first one, Marathi English one. There's a second one which is Hindi and English. So let's go to this. गिले शिकवे अब मजबूर हो के सो गए, रातों की मजदूरी करके सुबह के इंतजार में खो गए. Complaints, blames, helplessly, compulsively went to sleep. Bonded laborer of night, lost in the dreams of tomorrow. मुस्कुराहटों का हिसाब किताब खातों में नहीं, उन पन्नों में है जो तुमने लिखे जो किताबों में थे ही नहीं. Maths and accounting of smiles is not present in books or ledgers, but smiling in the pages which you wrote, which were never there in the books you read. कलम की स्याही सूखने से पहले सपने दिल में उतार लो, किताबें जल जाएगी पर दिल की जन्नत को तुम संभाल लो. Before the ink of the pen dries, write your dreams on your heart. Before the ink of the pen dries, write your dreams on your heart. Books will burn and turn into ashes, but the garden of your heart is for you to tend and cherish, for you to cherish. Thank you. That was the second one. I got few small ones, short ones. So, okay. He kept pacifying the world. He kept pacifying the world. The world inside him was burning to ashes. Smile was thorny, eyes stoned, unhinged, walking on the edge. Unhinged, walking on the edge, giving himself no edge, creating within himself a wedge. Heart spoke of love. Mind, mindlessly minded the gap. Mind, mindlessly minded the gap. And there are one or two short ones. I love this poetry and 13 stuff. So yes, let's do a few. Bombs, bullets. Bombs, bullets, they engaged in expensive war. Bomb, bullets, they engaged in expensive war. Loving was easy, but hearts disengaged. Loving was easy, but hearts disengaged. And this is the last one. Access keys to happiness and illusion. Access keys to happiness and illusion. Keys are just to lock happiness out. Keys are just to lock happiness out. Thanks a lot, Mark. Thank you very much. I love this platform. This is wonderful. It's like a poetry book on the YouTube. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, and Meshes. That plus a lot more. Thank you for that. I think your experiment worked very well. I've never heard you speak in your native tongue that way. It's really nice.
How many languages do you speak, Unmesh?
I speak 3 languages, PP. Normally in India, most of the people, at least I think 60 to 70% of the population speaks 3 languages. One is their mother tongue, one is the national language, that is Hindi, and then the international language, English.
That's so impressive. Most people in America can't even speak one language. That's super
and the language of poetry, so you speak 4 languages. And Meshtel, I know that you do a Saturday event that I can whenever I can. I try to attend. Is there anything you'd like to share with us besides your wonderful book, which I own and love?
Thanks, Mark. So you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, Unmesh Mohitkar. I've got a book, Light Shadow Life, which is there on Amazon. And I've got every Saturday, 8 p.m. India time, that is 10:30 a.m. New York time, open mic, Let's Unmesh Life. It's a wordplay on my name. So please join in Unmeshing Life every Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you. Put in the chat, thanks. Our next poet is Marissa Prada, who will take the place of a poet that couldn't make it, so she was able to get his spot. Hi, Marissa.
Oh my gosh, I have Unmesh's book.
Me too. To introduce Marissa is difficult for me. She's with me in the in the Poets React section. I've known Marissa now for a little time, and every time she reads, I'm just blown away. And I keep on saying that every time she reads is the best poem she ever read. So, you know, what can I say? Marissa has a publishing house. She's done all kinds of events. A very, very busy girl. You'll tell us about it a little bit and take it away, Marissa.
So I don't know. Do you want to hear the jazz poem again, Mark, or do you want
Don't go for me. Anything you want is fine, please. That jazz poem was great. It's a great poem too. I remember.
All right. Here's what I'll do. I'll do the jazz poem, and if you want another one, then I'll read you another one. Let me, here we go. All right, I apologize. This is nothing personal against jazz. So I don't think that it's anything personal against jazz. All right, this, I just love you, Mark. All right, this poem is titled Jazz Appreciation.
You're set to share, Marissa.
Oh, okay, you want me to share. All right, okay, let me do that real quick. All right, just let me know. Okay, you said here, Quest, let's do that for you. Thank you.
Getting there.
All right,
Halfway there.
In there, it's just very slow.
Real
It's
slow.
always slow on the screen shares. Let me know when you can see it.
Got it.
Okay, great. Yes, I have that many files open. No, don't judge me. All right, jazz appreciation. I imagine that jazz plays on repeat in the bowels of hell. You melanin maestro of misery, still pulling all the strings on all our instruments. Your own jazz sounds take shape, rake, rate, fate. Fake fucking forever humming moans of women's lost souls between your teeth. Heat between need to destroy and foddered souls of us women you abandoned. 5 kids and no father, you step on our hearts like skulls. Hardened, dead, dried out in hollow, sunk in sockets where blood used to flow as you swallow us whole. I imagine that jazz plays in the background of hell, like a doctor's office just before you're told you have cancer. You twist notes around your fingers, scramble sounds in the back of your mind, counting all these women as they continue to fall at your feet. Stumble into your true de loup wolf hole, destined to die by the idle hands of your wicked games. Us women would wait forever for you. Us women fell in love with you. Us women you use as stepping stones to get to the next. All these tears fall like Virga rain, never to land anywhere, just disappear and be recycled back into the clouds of bullshit. Keep falling in a perpetual prison, life cycle, since we need water to live, but it never comes. Just trapped down in the bowels in this orchestrated jail of your predatory nature. Carts cart around women's heart like a hot dog vendor yelling freebies, selling satiety to a society that still won't listen to women's voices, won't believe women's stories. The storybooks will be rewritten by history books. Tarana Burke book bought and paid for on the backs of women no one believes. So yes, I believe jazz plays on repeat in the bowels of hell. The very bottom is where you reside, where you exist now in my mind, playing with your own sounds. Fiddle, lute, flute, tuba, torturous treachery, lying nights teaching our days. You just wait for the next woman. Wait for the next poor soul to fall in love with you. I hope she likes jazz. So I can I can do another one, or I can roll, Mark. It's up to you, whatever.
Yeah, sure. You have a short one, please.
This is part of my book that's coming out next year. I'll read you this one. I like this one. This is titled Haortophobia. Haortophobia is the fear of holidays. So just in case nobody knew that. Hang on. I just had to turn off that washer because it's like just making, this is real life, people. We're real life poets. All right. Haortophobia. This will be in my book next year. I wish I could say that I'm happy now without you. Right as rain and all the other wrong things now that you're gone. Maybe it's actually true. I was nothing more than the squalid moans of an aging woman across the dilapidated bed sheets of a crippled man. Human man. Not mythical beast or glorious savior. Not security of sanity, just mediocre madness. Truly nothing to set your hopes on. You told me time and time again. Alexa, stop. My kids are playing music in their room. Truly nothing to set your hopes on. You told me time and time again. There was nothing to gain but gasoline for this chapbook rampage. Maybe it's actually true. I was just the get. Just the cotton candy at the fair you consumed on call, sticky fingers and all. For now, I am just the forgotten was of wasted wanting, yesterday's bad joke of hope. I am not laughing since nothing is the same anymore. Nothing is sacred anymore. I believe in nothing anymore. Maybe it's actually true. I was a cloaked security blanket you carried around during times of trouble. Always ready to be that girl. Maybe it's true, the clock simply ran out of steam. Wrong, but twice a day our winding time was supposed to unwrap a future for us. Not rip the wreckage of colored re-gifted gifts given and taken away. I wish I could be happy now. I wish I knew how to travel beyond you, beyond myself, finding myself amidst the gorged glitter wrapping, now trampled beneath another wasted holiday. Thank you. Everyone's ready for Christmas now.
You have a great way to communicate, Marissa. Thank you. And both those poems, I mean, you know.
Thank you, everyone.
Performances. Thank you. Take a breath. Do you have anything you want to add for how we can follow you? There's so many different posts you have, I know.
Just find me. My name says Prada because of my erotic open mic last night, but it's actually Marissa Prada. So come find me on Facebook. Instagram is Prada Painting and Poetry. I do 3 IG shows a week. Every day of the week we have something at The Word Is Right. I'll pop all that stuff in the chat. My book, Conversations with Grief, is available. It is the 1 year I wrote poetry after my friend made the choice to end her life. Shane Maynard did the cover art. This is a picture of my friend who passed away. And so you could bless me by getting a copy of this, or the entire collection of the original 10 from Red or Green Books is available. Yes, Terry Rose has it. There will also be another, oh, look at propaganda he's got. I love you guys. The other 10 poets are coming out in December, and so we'll have 20 debut collections. Both collections are available at a bundle to purchase through the press. It's an incredible thing that we're doing. The Women's Erotic Anthology is coming out in December as well. So I will just drop all that in the chat. redorgreenbooks.com is the press. Red is READ, because I live in New Mexico and everything is red or green chili here. So.
Thank you, Marissa.
You've got to do another presentation on one of the sites like you did with the 10. You did that a month ago.
Yes, we have 3 events. So the first event we already did. The first event was to introduce the 10 poets and their books, and they could all do a reading. So we've already done that for the next 10. Then we'll do the pre-orders and launch the cover art. So you'll have an opportunity to see all the covers, hear the titles for the books, and hear from the poets. And we'll start taking pre-orders. And then in December, when the books actually come out, we'll have a book signing in December before Christmas. But the goal is to have the books in the hot hands of the poets by December 1st, so you can purchase the books, you can have them in time for the holidays, you can give them as gifts. But yes, the pre-orders are already going. Everything is on the website. You can see the next 10, who they are, their bios, all of that. And we'll be launching the next 10 books here in, if not October, then November.
Great, thank you, Marissa.
Thanks.
We have we're running a little behind, but not terribly so. I have 6 readers left. That would be Ronnie, Terry Rose, Jeff Callis, Laura, Beowulf, and Larry. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out for all this time. And do you guys want to take a break, or we'll just keep going through? I think we'll finish up this as we can. Okay, I'm okay without a break. I hope you all are too as well. Ronnie Alvarez is a copywriter and content creator from Mexico. In the last 3 years, he's participated in slam poetry and spoken word events, winning contests and doing presentations for different parts of the world. His current job focuses on promoting the discipline of spoken word in Mexico. Ronnie.
Hi, Matt.
You bet.
Nice to see you again. Nice to see everybody here. See a lot of friends. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share a screen. Just let me know if you can watch my display.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
First of all, I want to say sorry because my English is not good enough yet. So all my work is in Spanish, but right now I'm trying to translate it.
Rudy, está todo bien, no pasa nada. Dale.
So sorry if there are mistakes.
Está bien.
The first text is about Death's Day, this festivity of Mexico, one of the most important, because in Mexico, death has a specific concept. We see death as another step in life, not as an end. So here we go. Ya me voy para mi cielo, a morir bajo su cielo, a morir bajo su cielo. Ya me voy para mi tierra, y es la muerte quien me lleva. Yo no voy hacia la muerte, es la muerte quien me lleva. Yo no voy hacia la muerte. Porque en este país con violencia, corrupción, con clasismo, con falta de derechos, con peleas contra las drogas y el cartel, a veces morir si es pasar a mejor vida. Y es curioso porque la flaca sale conmigo a borracheras, pero no me concede el último trago, solo me deja con resacas. Pero la flaca viene a mi vida y no me da el último beso, el beso de la muerte. Pero eso sí, viene a reírse de mí, se ríe de mi vida, de mi sufrimiento, de este tipo de vida. La flaca viene y mata a mis amigos, mi familia, mi alma, mis ganas de abrir este corazón otra tarde. Y entonces con el tiempo aprendí que la flaca, la muerte, the death, la muerte, la flaca no viene vestida de negro, viene vestida de vida, porque abarca los buenos, los malos días, abarca cuando río, la muerte viene cuando respiro, la muerte viene cuando lloro, la muerte viene cuando amo. Ya me voy para mi tierra, a morir bajo su cielo, a morir bajo su cielo. Ya me voy para mi tierra, y es la muerte quien me lleva. Yo no voy hacia la muerte, yo no voy hacia la muerte, es la muerte quien me lleva. Porque la flaca viene por mí uno de estos días. Y no es que ella me espere, y no es que yo la espere, es que ella me espera. Gracias, thank you. Okay, this is my first text. And
Gracias.
for my second and last work, here in Mexico, we have something that is called lottery, a traditional game with cards. It's a really, really long traditional game. I'm just gonna make a few poems that I write for this little Mexican traditional game. So here we go. Corazón, este corazón late, el ritmo del universo, al son de un danzón o un beso. Corazón, ¿de qué estás hecho, corazón? Porque a veces eres caricia, a veces rasguño y desquicia en este largo pecho. Poner las alas al viento y hacer de cada vuelo un hogar, sin tener miedo del lugar, hacer hogar en cada vuelo, bailar con el cielo y tener el coraje de hacer ese viaje, de emigrar con dolor. Y cuando eres canto, sabes ser amor. Cuando la noche se despeja y el cielo queda abierto, es del sol momento para ser el que brilla. Pero si hablamos de maravillas, tu boca también merece, porque cuando tú y yo somos un beso, siento cómo amanece. Mi cuerpo, mi cuerpo, una maceta. La riego con amor, con esperanzas y que florezcan las raíces. Mi cuerpo, una maceta que aprende de los tiempos, de la primavera, del otoño, del viento. Luna, vienes y te recuestas en mis noches. Checas mis caricias, mis sueños, mis miedos, y yo sin ningún reproche. Luna, vienes como esa luz que toca mis cicatrices, que muestra mis miedos, mis pautas, que elevas mi marea y en mis palabras crea ocasionales eclipses. El mar tiene un encanto, sirena, y en el azul profundo que rodea este mundo, la vida es amena. El mar va y viene. La ola toca la arena. Va el marinero a anunciar que no tema naufragar, pues el mar tiene encanto. Sabiendo que es tu canto, su guía para ir a mar. Thank you. And that's all.
Wow. I've never actually experienced anything like that before, Ronnie. Thank you. I'm fluent enough in Spanish to have, I'm fluent in French more than Spanish, and I never enjoyed Spanish quite as much when I could just see it like that, like reading a bilingual thing, but with your voice and your images. That was amazing, and thank you very much for that. It's beautiful. The
Thanks.
words like Lorca or Neruda, you capture just using the most simplest of words to express all that. It's just great. La Flaca, the
Ronnie,
thin one.
Ronnie, muchas
Oh,
gracias.
yeah.
Muchas gracias,
Wow.
Ronnie. I've got in my home 2 framed Loteria panels against a yellow wall. So I love seeing the cards and loved hearing your tales of the cards. I've never seen La Maceta though. That is a new image for me.
Oh, yeah. Actually, there are more than 72 images of the entire lottery.
Yeah.
So the goal is make a poem, a script for each card. And yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Professor. It's
Gracias.
very nice to
That's a
share.
great collection, Ronnie. Thank you so much for that. It's great. I really enjoy that a lot. Thank you.
Are there videos of that available? I would love to see
Right.
that more.
Well, there is now because this is being recorded and will be on YouTube and by tomorrow. So at least that moving on.
Well, just a quick advice, a quick message. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram as Solo Dime Ronnie. I'm gonna put it here on the chat. And yeah, I'm working to make my first EP, my first album of spoken word, and I'm gonna start to sell some even merchandising with some quotes that I made. So, but it's coming soon. It's not yet ready yet. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that I was gonna ask you if you had recorded, because it's like the sound poetry. I mean, the music of it. It would be really interesting at what you come up with.
yeah, I'm working on that. I hope the next month I will be ready my first EP, my first album of spoken word, and I'm gonna try to upload it on Spotify, YouTube with some video graphic things to complement.
Do you have a title for it yet?
It's gonna call Hoy no se fía, mañana sí. That is a quote, a Mexican expression, because here in Mexico we use the word in a really strange way because we play with time. For example, we always say little, a little time, a little food, a little moment, a little family, a little friend. So that's the title of this work. And I'm working with someone that is much better on English than me, so to make a better translation for everyone.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ronnie. And that was wonderful. Well, our next poet is Terry Rose. She's a wife and mother living in New Jersey, where she writes to cope with life's challenges. She tends the room. I've seen her quite often at the Zoom, and she works in the social services as peer recovery specialist, working on getting published with Red and Green Books. Terry, take it away. Teresa, there you are. Terry?
I was looking for the screen share. Oh, okay, I have it now.
Sure.
I have some small, like micro poems I was gonna do. Where is it? Where is it? Can you see that?
Yes, we can, Terry.
This is from an acrostic, I don't know if I'm saying that right, poetry workshop. Solitary survivor of the apocalypse. The hero of my own life story. Looking for anyone else to join me, to be my comfort. Still, I am here, cursing my broken roots, cursing my family that deserted me. Still, I am here, manifest destiny, abandonment issues, blackened soul, yet the sun still sets and rises against orange ochre and misty gray skies. A hero is never appreciated in her own time.
Can everyone mute while Terry is reading, please? Thank you.
That was probably coming from my end because
Oh,
I had somebody singing in another.
okay.
Okay, let me share the next one. Heavy, thick air pounding in my chest, running wild, but not free. Staying focused on survival, solitary in my quest, not part of the group mentality, not part of the societal norm, no longer setting goals, looking for allies, trying to find a balance between death and breathless incarnation before it all comes crashing down, before getting back up after being knocked unconscious by a predator, but not destroyed, standing, falling, getting back up to begin again.
Strong piece. Thank you, Terry. That was a very strong piece. I love
Thank you.
the way you formed there. Very well, really well done in that picture. Thank you, Terry. How can we
Thank
want us to follow you in any which way?
I put in there, well, I can put it in there again. I just sent it to you, so I'll send it to them in the
Sure,
regular
please.
chat. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you. Next is Jeff Callis. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for hanging in there. Jeff,
Well, thank you. It's
Jeff,
Kalis, by the way,
I'll
with
let
a long
sure.
A. Kalis.
Yeah, Kalis. I'm sorry, Jeff.
It's probably
I'll
Kalis
introduce you.
old
Jeff
country.
was brought up by a classical piano teacher in the coast of Maine, belatedly blossomed as a music journalist. He has an MFA in creative writing at San Francisco State University, got into expressing himself in other genres, and now living in San Francisco. All welcome these Facebook accounts he has here, and you'll put on the chat. And you will, time permitting, he said, time permitting, he writes in his biography, I'll get a grip on other social media. We'll, we'll hold each other's hands, Jeff.
Indeed.
Go ahead.
As must many of us. Yeah, coming near the bottom of the deck in an open mic, you find yourself actually tagging on to some of the stuff that's preceded you. This first poem is going to tag on to Ronnie's Sirena. I didn't know this was going to happen, but it's marvelous. This poem is called Surge.
Could you share it, Jeff, with us?
I sent it to you, Mark. If you want to share the.
Oh yeah. All right. You know what? Let me move on. I'll have to. I didn't. You must have done it recently. Let me go into my email and not spend everybody's time. We'll come right back to you. Okay. It'll take me a couple of seconds to get it.
By my way of thinking, it isn't necessary. But if you want to get
Well, that's the nature. That's just the nature of the event. You know, I'll have it in a second. Laura, would you care? Are you ready there, Laura Webb?
Sure.
Laura Stewart. Laura Stewart Webb always comes up with something very unique in graphics as well. Lives in southern Maryland with a giant Irish wolfhound named Fintan. She's active in her community through her work in behavioral health organizations as a poet and as a volunteer workshop leader and mediator. Laura appreciates the community built by poetry and thanks everyone here for being part of it. We thank you for sharing with us, Laura.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, everybody. So something I haven't done in a while, so we'll see how this goes. Sweetwater.
Yeah.
Florida gators don't feed their locked jaws. Don't stare into their blinking eyes, assume they are asleep when basking. They invented recharging batteries in Florida sun. It's a tempting photo op, getting as close as you dare to point out to your agog friends how the gators don't seem to know small birds are pecking on the leather of their sides while ferns flourish atop their petrified wood skulls. It's recommended to remain 8 feet apart, but when the gator lounges right in the path, what does a parent pushing little Jordan, teething, fussy in her baby stroller do? You wouldn't believe how many parents find themselves forced to decide when a gator of a sudden flicks its Mesozoic tail. Panhandlers. At what temperature is a man or a woman holding up a sign on the side of the road in Sweetwater, Florida, officially deep fried fucked? Maybe that's calculated by the resemblance of their skin to dead horsehide, alligator snouts, or by how many times tourists ignore their hungry, God bless signs, yet will pose beside a gator who smells but can't spell its femoral or brachial appetite. A man can urinate on the side of a crowded bus shelter in mid-afternoon and not one person will even look. A gator, ugly and awkward as an ignored social contract, like no one saying, God bless you, when an old lady sneezes in church, can beach himself beside snowy egrets and become an Instagram star. America, you won't believe how many parents pushing little Jordan, teething and fussy, in line for their temporary assistance, wish you would finally flick your tail. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. You have any others? Is that's all for today? It's wonderful stuff. Love it.
That's all for today, Mark.
Okay, thank you. I'll be right back in here. Okay, Jeff, Laura, you want to tell us a little bit more where we can follow you?
Folks can email me at laurastewartweb@gmail.com. And I guess that's it right now.
Okay, Jeff, I thank you very much, Laura. I love the way you present your poems. Really, it's really great. And okay, Jeff, I have yours here now.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I was in
No
the,
problem. I didn't know you had sent it to me, so I would have gotten it earlier.
yeah, I sent it way back at the beginning of the reading, but
Sure.
in any case, what I was in the process of saying is that I'm going to be tagging with the first poem on Roni's Sirena, which I didn't know would happen, but it's marvelous when that kind of thing happens by chance. So this poem is called Surge. I migrated my tears to someone else's season. Displaced and rather wrinkled, they tasted still the same, tasted as I always thought they did. Back there then, do you remember? Young and fresh among the pines, those tears, siblings of the sea. With her, I waded into that water. It's surging in between our legs and splashing up around our chests. It left us after, landed on the lawn, where I could shell her two-toned body from her lycra layer and lick the saline basting from her untanned breasts. I had to leave that ocean and that island, as she must have. We left the gull cries in that dusky day, the murmurs of that musky time, to do it somewhere where we do it now, with whom I do it now, and wherever she may be thinking of it, maybe. It's some time again, my time again, the season to cry for all seasons, to lick the streams of salt and go back down to the timeless taste of the ocean. This next poem, a few of you have heard a bit of, thanks to the marvelous, marvelous workshop that was offered on Sunday with Mark Elemental, Kemlin, putting us all through our paces, telling us, showing us actually some of how some poets do what they do and then checking us out on how we do what we do. And some of the other poets here tonight, or whatever time it is where you are, were also part of this. And the poem that I read a piece of and will read all of now is called The Death and Everlasting Life of Glenn Frey. I wrote this after Glenn Frey, the vocalist from the Eagles, passed away. Well, I'm standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slowing down, angel babe, slowing down to pick up Glenn Frey, that guy from the Eagles, taking the early ride, the early flight south to death. Swing low, sweet flatbed Ford. Early to death and early to rise, make a man legend, not always wise, make a man gone. Makes me feed the jukebox at the portals over forever nightcaps forever. Next morning, makes me wake up too early, diversify too early. Slowing down forever to take a look at me as I was, young and firm and friendly, to take a look at her. Take a look at Linda, Winslowing south on Route 17 and 10 to Tucson, to take a look at Linda Ronstadt, young and ripe and hanging on a gear shift. Hitching a ride on Linda's flatbed wooden stage way out west to the Whiskey A Go-Go on the Sunset Strip, full of LA girls in halter tops, full of kinds of fun, legal and illegal for guys becoming eagles, full of guitars to grab, drums to pound, keyboards to twaddle, full of the glad sounds of being, sung through Linda's succulent girl mouth. Her chocolate eyes showing what we can do and should do to try and pull the reins in. Ride 'em, cowgirl, in tight jeans. After the set, we unplugged, went out back, and got older. We got sold, we bought, we broke up bands and marriages. We lost our hearing, or was it just the good music we lost? And here we are with Glenn, faded further than our jeans, on our last aching legs, long hair grayed and thinned, wheezing in the dust of Winslow, Arizona. Interstate 40 is the new Route 66. Glenn was 67. He wasn't new. But what a fine sight to see. A final sight. A girl, my lord, with angelic horde, slowing down to get old Glenn, dust him off, and carry him to where the songs are free and forever. She ain't singing, that girl, but she sure looks like Linda. When will she be back for the rest of us? Thank you all for listening.
Thank you for waiting so long to get those wonderful poems out. I mean, I've heard from someone once that good poetry, a good prose makes you want to turn the page, to get to keep on with the story. And good poetry wants to keep you on the page. And with your poetry, Jeff, I want to stay on the page. Well, thank you very much.
So sweet, Mark. Thank you.
Look forward to looking at that again on the recording. Very nice. And as you need help in the social media, I don't think well, anyway, we'll see you around in a lot of our open mics. And thank you for mentioning the little workshop we ran on Sunday. It was actually called Performing Poetry on Zoom, and it was a look at a discussion of how we should just do our poetry on Zoom. And this is just one way of doing poetry on Zoom, of course, by using share screen and by using some of the devices that Jeff and Laura did and some of the others. But I think there's a tremendous world of exploration of how poetry is going to change in this next generation as we can continue with this journey we have here, on throughout the world. Wonderful, thank you. Our next
Also,
poet
Mark,
is
I'll put up in the
Werewolf. Yeah, sure.
chat window very quickly a website, a music publication I write for, where I write about a lot about jazz, Marissa. You can go here. And the latest thing I did is about a woman drummer, dynamite woman drummer.
You got it, Jeff. Next is propaganda poet Beowulf, a Shawnee gypsy Jew, social justice humanist who sees tattoos as physical manifestations of emotional scars and lost count of somewhere around 20. Quote, this world makes no sense to me, so I make music and poetry. For more poetry, music, and storytelling, check out Challenging Studios for as many performance personas and merchandise, books, CDs, and all the rest. And thanks for waiting around. And there's one of Propaganda Poet's books. And thank you. Take it away.
Thank you all. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for sharing your words and just Ronnie. You had mentioned something about having someone translate those better for you. No. What you did was perfect. I don't know Spanish at all, and that was beautiful. Like the way you presented that, and you the English and don't change anything. You don't need anything translated better than what it was. That was beautiful. Since we're doing the share screen thing, I figured I would give you guys some visuals because people like visuals, right? Okay. 6 November 1994, 2:04 p.m. Twisted metal, road rash leather, wind-torn flesh thrashed across cracked asphalt, blood matching just the right shade of red to remind me of the sauce at Sergeant Pepper's Pizza, which is ironic because the first thing I see when I open my eyes is the place where I am a delivery boy, bringing me back to the road, not being able to move, praying that my passenger isn't dead when I realize just how much life can change in the screech of a tire. Epilogue. They say that when you think you're about to die, that your life passes before your eyes, which is a load of crap. I only had enough time for an oh shit and half a prayer.
Huh.
Love heart. Love, pain are one, the same. It's just a fool's game. Honesty and trust are diamonds and dust as my heart slowly turns to rust. My country fears of thee, false land of hypocrisy, it's for thee that I scream. Land where my grandfathers died because the great white father lied, then raped every mountainside. Let the brass shells rain. Seasons of the Witch. Spring. You weave your words, miss, need, and the ever so popular love. Your gray magic lurks inside me, pulls on all my chords with black hole gravity. Summer. Spellbound and charmed, the stray finds his way back, a typical moth. Your flame's heat sunblinds me. You seem warm. Fall. There's already a chill to the air. Words unspoken float aimlessly. Our breath becomes frozen fog. The nights are getting longer again. Winter. It's a cold day in hell, just as I always say it will be the day that I would ever slip back to you. Bones frozen, blood solid and broken, ice forms on the thin fringes of my inner limits, shocking me awake from this walking dream as I leave yet again. But spring is soon to come. My endless downward spiral is certain to drill deeper. Junebug Valentine. It's word tornado season. Prologue with Zephyrine Moongarden. She was sitting, alone, raspberry violet eyelashes and all, sharp breaths tinted in crimson escaping her lips, actively extroverting to calm the static inside. You have no idea. Sunset dyed horizon foreshadowed by the chromatically inclined, trying desperately not to wash it gray, because if it's a gray day, then nothing moves today. Just like the space between now and hope, or the distance between hope and hopelessness. Act 1. When outside looks like an IG filter, your reality shows its true nature. Even should it rain today, not everyone complains. Act 2. Why must you cloud my sunshine just so you can throw your shade? Act 3. There is a perverse poetry in all the ways you slowly kill me. Epilogue. My marrow is haunted. Your ghost lives in my bones. There's a labor shortage, y'all. 9 lives lost to the cost of living. 8 days of work week never done. 7 times survival scream. 6 souls cannot be saved. 5 more left alive. 4 bodies found. 3 ran down. 2 left. 1. And then this last one is a necrastic poem based on a picture that I took of the sky. Ode to America. Crescent moon reminds me of you, a sliver of hope disappearing into darkness. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for being who you are and doing what you do.
No, thank you. Thank you, Beowulf. Beowulf propaganda. How would you like us to? What's your favorite, AKA?
When I do poetry, I'm propaganda poet.
Okay.
So
Well, thanks for that very diverse. I mean, from fast to slow and a little bit of everything, and just really interesting forms and stuff. So nice to see your written craft on the page.
thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
I'm working on my second book called Word Tornadoes, and some of those were excerpts from that.
Well, that ends the regular program. I think what I'd like to ask to do, I'll stop the recording, and there's some of you who've been hanging out here. Would you like to, if you'd like to read, I'll do an after hours thing with you. I'm fine. And if anybody would like to stay, I mean, it's been a couple of hours, and this event is always so spectacular. I mean, when I look at it the next day and all the poems that were here, I mean, it really is just a kaleidoscope of fantastic voices, and I'm just so proud and humbled to have been able to host it. The next month in October on the 28th, I'll be in the middle of a move, and I'm just not going to be able to do it. So the following one is in November, the 28th. It's actually the Sunday of Thanksgiving. I'm going to do a little bit early in the day. Sunday, by that Sunday, everybody in America has gone home from Thanksgiving. So it'll be like a 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll take it from there. I'll be in touch with all of you in a couple of months, in a couple of weeks, and look forward to doing this over and over and over because I just get so much joy out of it, and I just love watching this stuff on YouTube. I don't know what else to say. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you, Mark.
So I'm going to stop the recording, and
Thank you.